Welcome to Act 2 You're On. Join us weekly at our studio roundtable as Rhonda
and Kate invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying vibrant and healthy.
Launch your next great act with authenticity and purpose.
Summon your courage, superstar, and step into the limelight. So grab a coffee
or a martini
and let's set the stage for a grand entrance. It's Act 2.
You're on.
Greetings, friends, and welcome. Kate Levy here with you today, joined by my friend and co-host.
Hi there, friends. It's Rhonda Garvin-Conaway. We're also joined by our talented producer, Kathy Carswell.
And we are thrilled today to get to talk to Dr. Richard Margil. Dr. Rich is doing remarkable work, taking chiropractic services way beyond perhaps the common understanding of chiropractic care. But let me ask listeners, what if you could reclaim a sense of well-being, find energy, dispel brain fog, and regain clarity of thought? What if you could feel good in your body again? Maybe get the whole of you, body, mind, and spirit aligned and working together.
Okay, I want that.
I know. Kathy, our producer, is like charging her arm up and down there.
Okay.
Let me ask you these questions. Maybe you feel detached from your body. Well, maybe we all just have to settle that this general malaise, this low energy overwhelm, and societal funk is just how life is now. Well, the good news is, I think we found the right person to talk to. For over 3 decades, Dr. Rich has forged a highly effective multidisciplinary design for restoring his patients' health and well-being. Beyond restoring normal functioning to the body, his patients are amazed at the revitalization of their energy, clarity, zest for life, and overall health. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
And maybe a hallelujah. Among Dr. Rich's extensive skills include addressing over 2,000 signaling pathways in the brain, rebuilding superior gut health and digestion, and synthesizing functional approaches for achieving higher states of consciousness and sustained health. Dr. Rich's mission is to passionately deliver a life-changing wellness experience to people of all ages, and this is achieved through very specific chiropractic adjustments, neurological integration, and being inspired to take action for optimal health and well-being. Welcome, Dr. Rich.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I feel like my entire family needs to come see you. From my 15-year-old super uber athletic child all the way up to my 89-year-old mother. But I know that you are doing really remarkable things. You have this self-sustaining business. You don't even have to advertise. People flock to you because they hear through word of mouth that they have the potential to get healed.
Thank you. Yes. So here's a little thought to begin with, in that most all of us have grown up understanding that dental hygiene is something that we assume to be true, and we go to the dentist periodically, and it's really familiar as a lifestyle for families to get your teeth checked periodically. Very few of us ever learn that spinal health and taking care of our spine is also a form of hygiene and wellness care to be promoted within a family for a lifetime. It's only like 6 to 8% of the population that have ever been to a chiropractor. But it's the mindset of that which is what's really interesting. You know, we understand and we accept that going to the dentist is a very natural thing to do for ourselves. We don't judge it. There's not much confrontation around it. We just know how to do it. And we just find a dentist for the family and find a way to go when we can. In the world that I'm in, when I went to chiropractic school, I learned a lot of things in chiropractic is not in the educational system. And you don't learn it unless, at least I didn't learn it. And I've not found patients have learned a lot of what I teach because they didn't go to school to learn about their spine and nervous system. Where I want to begin is actually to teach something to your listeners. So this is like an educational piece that I share with all of my patients. So I want to teach about sitting, sleeping, and standing, because that's what we do with our bodies. And so most people don't know how to sit properly. So how you sit properly is, the old-fashioned ergonomic teaching was that you want to sit nice and straight and be perpendicular, have your hips perpendicular to your spine. Okay? It's not accurate. You always want to sit with your hip bones higher than your knees. Because when you sit with your hips higher than your knees, it arches your lower back, it opens up your torso to sit up straight, and the curve of your lumbar spine actually holds up your torso. So all the weight is not compressed into your lower spine.
I want to adjust right now.
Well, yeah, I know.
We're wiggling in our seats here, people. We're all wiggling. Is everybody wiggling?
Yeah. So, people who have like bucket seat in cars, it's awful for your spine because it pulls on your brainstem.
Oh.
So I have these stools in my office where the cushion for sitting is actually thicker in back than it is in the front. And then it's elevated. People at home who have bar stools, they know how good it feels to sit on a bar stool because you're up higher. Most couches where you're sitting in a couch and then you sink into the couch, they're so low. It's just not good for us. So at my house, I have bolsters all over my couch, and my wife and I, we just can pick ourselves up and just sit much higher.
I'm going to make that adjustment immediately. I've had to drive a lot recently, and it is killing my back.
Yeah, so then there are wedges. Some more expensive car seats, the front of the seat can drop in the front. And it's really helpful. So instead of a bucket seat, you want to drop the front of the seat so you're up a teeny bit higher. And those people that can't, the car seats don't do that. There are these foam wedges that I carry in my office to help people sit. So they're up a little bit higher. That arches your spine. So the rounded shape of your lumbar spine distributes the weight because that becomes an arch. And that each part of the arch takes on some of the weight of your torso. So it's really healthy. The second recommendation is about sleeping. And I have a question for your whole audience, for everybody to think about this question. Has anybody ever taught you how to determine correct pillow height when you go to sleep?
I don't want to answer for everyone, but I would say no.
Correct. No one has ever taught us how to determine correct pillow height. So I'm going to teach everyone how to do that right now.
Oh, thank you.
This is fantastic.
Okay. So first of all, you do not use pillows to determine correct pillow height. You can only use towels to do that. If you sleep on your back or you sleep on your side, which are the only two places I recommend, not on your stomach, ladies. I find very few men ever sleep on their stomach, but women do. It's really not good for your neck, your spinal cord to sleep on your stomach. And you cannot use the same pillow thickness to sleep on your back or to sleep on your side because they require different kinds of alignment. If you're on your back, all you want to do, so if you just were to lie down in your mattress with no pillow, you would notice that your head is slightly in extension. All you want to do is to get your head out of extension into neutral, which is about anywhere from 3 to 6 folds of a towel. So if you fold the towel in half, fold it in half again, or put it in thirds and then double up the thirds so you have anywhere from 3 to 6 folds of a towel, and you just put that underneath your head when you're on your back, 2 things will happen to know that it's correct thickness. And this is the secret to knowing how to determine correct pillow height. When you have it correct, 2 things that happen are the following. Your eyes will naturally close and your brain will shut off. So you'll go out of sympathetic dominance, out of that being busy with your mind, into quiet mind, and your brain will start to get quiet to get ready to go to sleep. So your brain will just slow down and it will get quiet. If your brain keeps chattering away, you don't have the right thickness. If you sleep on different mattresses, or if you go to places, it's not always the same amount of folds because mattresses have different levels of pressure. Now that's sleeping on your back. That's easier, way easier than determining what's correct for your side. I recommend that people put a little notebook next to their bed with a pencil so you can actually count your towel folds. Most people squish up their pillows and do the best that they can. I know people that have 8, 10, have tried 10, 12 pillows to try to find what's right for them. And they struggle going to sleep. The most important thing to observe, when does your mind get quiet? When does your eyes naturally want to close? Here's a place to start. If you have a pillow that you like, and then you feel like you wake up at night and you have a stiff neck, then what's happening when you're on your side is one side of your neck is stretching out and the other side is being contracted. So your spine is and your head on your neck is not at rest. So then I recommend taking a towel, folding in half again, start counting your towel folds. And then over time, you'll get within a range of 2 or 3 towel folds that will just make sense. And at some point, you'll just fall asleep. When you have it absolutely correct, will not be thrashing in bed. You won't be moving. You'll land and you'll stay there all night. And it can take several days for that to happen. Practice it. It's something that needs to get practiced. That's how you determine correct pillow thickness for when you want to go to sleep. I have 2 pillow stations on my bed because sometimes I want to be on my side. Sometimes I'm on my back because I like to turn to my right side. I put my side sleep to the right and I have my back sleeping obviously on the left. So when I roll, then that's correct.
These are invaluable strategies. And I immediately am thinking of a couple of people in my life that have pulmonary and gastro challenges who have been advised to sleep with wedges or to be more at a triangular angle. Now, is that because of, would you say they should adhere to the same kind of strategy that you just recommended?
No. So let me go there. That gastropulmonary challenges, they came in to see me. I would evaluate their lungs, their esophageal tissues around their throat. I would check the cervical disc to see if any of their discs are out of alignment. You notice a lot of people when you look at their posture, their heads are forward. Here's a big distinction for anybody in your audience who has never been to a chiropractor. Here's some language that you want to have in your background when you go to see someone, because this is what you want to have corrected. First thing a chiropractor should look for when a patient comes in are which bones of the person's spine or body have moved out of place in a direction that the body does not have the ability to self-correct. In the spine, in the what's called the thoracic spine, which is just below the neck, and then in the lumbar spine, the only direction of misalignment that the body cannot self-correct are bones that shift forward. Traditional chiropractic, you go to the chiropractor, you lay on the table and they push on your spine. My opinion, wrong direction. I only move bones backward. I don't move bones forward. Because what happens when people get older? They start hunching forward. Bones have started falling and shifting forward. Now, pay attention. What does the body do? The body has to twist to compensate for these bones that are going forward. What hurts are not the bones that are forward, but the compensatory changes that have occurred to trying to keep the body upright. So many times people will have some muscle spasm. Oh, that's the problem. It's not the problem. That's just a compensation for bone that's out of place that the body cannot self-correct. I treat people either sitting or standing. I have a table on my wall, so I move bones backward when people are standing. And it does 2 things, help them stand up straight. And I guarantee you, you'll breathe better. Because once you're upright and you're not compressed, your lung field starts to open up.
Right.
And a lot of people, because we're all texting and typing so much, it puts pressure on the first rib, which is just under your neck. And it pulls, the first rib comes forward, compresses the top of your lung field so you don't breathe as much. So we have to adjust the first rib and move that backward to help people stand up straight. And most everybody, they just take a big deep breath when that happens because they just feel better because now they're upright and they get more oxygen to their brain. You see color coming into people's face.
How often are you noticing this in your practice as a result of all the texting and
every day?
Would you, has it been a huge increase? Every
day I need to adjust. People come to me. Part of what I do is I'm a chiropractor. About 40% of my practice. I evaluate people. And I want to explain this too. I use a form of testing called muscle testing or applied kinesiology to find out what's going on inside of someone. Now, I use my educated brain to ask questions. I get access to information from the quantum field to know what is going on. So I stand behind people and I just take my thumbs and I put them behind their skull on their body. And as I roll my thumbs down the back of their head, I am asking questions with my mind. And every time I get a yes answer with the question I'm asking, my left thumb naturally drops lower. It's a really interesting phenomenon. Everyone who's out there can learn how to muscle test, and you can learn how to muscle test yourself. You know what? I'm going to go there right now. I'm going to go there because the best thing that anyone can do for you is teach you how to do something that you can do for the rest of your life.
Right.
Muscle testing yourself, as if you don't have somebody else to do it with, you just use your own body as a pendulum. Hold your hands on your chest and imagine you're talking to God or the spirit that unites all of us and just say, show me a yes. When I do it, my body just rocks forward. Show me a no. My body just falls back. So then if I took, here's a cup of water that I just filled up. Is this good for me? And notice that my body goes forward. Here's my telephone. Do I need to eat this? No. You can make up really simple things. You want to be simple. my wife and I will go into like Whole Foods. We'll check, are these strawberries good for us? We'll put it on our body, and like a pendulum, we'll find out if it's good for us or not. And I will muscle test. I think it's important to not be shy, to take care of yourself and use your own heightened consciousness to make your choices as to what's most valuable. You only have one life that I know. Make it empowering, make it interesting, learn as much as you can, grow, and, take it to the next step, whatever that is. So muscle testing is a way of gaining access to information that's actually beyond the mind. So when I do most of my work, I'm going into that space that's beyond the mind, because I'm not figuring out what to do for people. I only figure out how to ask questions for people that speaks into their concerns. So when you mentioned about people that have respiratory issues, then the first thing I would do is I would check their lung fields. In the brain work that I do, which is called the neurological integration system, if I just rubbed the back of their shoulder on each side, that posterior deltoid muscle has the same neurological connection to the brain as the lung tissue itself. So if I rub that tissue and muscle test, and I muscle test sometimes in the traditional way with my arm out straight, if I rub that and it goes weak, I know that there's a circuit interruption and there's something that's disrupting the function of that lung. That's just the beginning, because then I have to find out what's the problem, what needs to get fixed. And I find, number one, a lot of people have a lot of heart problems. I have to fix a lot of heart problems. And I know how to check not only the 4 valves, the chambers, like the left atrium, left ventricle, right atrium, right ventricle. I also check the 4 valves of the heart. I ask the question, is there something I can do to correct this? And then I get a yes. Now, you saw in my bio, I've developed over 2,000 pathways for how the brain works. I am not the founder of the neurological integration system. I'm one of the developers of it. Here's a really important lesson, what I believe is the future of healthcare, because I'm on the edge of something. And so I want to share with you. And where I'm on the edge is when most people go to the doctor, hey, doctor, this hurts in my body. What goes on the doctor's trying to figure out what's wrong with your body. But truly, the first place where there's something wrong is in the signaling in your brain, because your brain should be an automation. We cut ourselves. What happens? Bleeding stops, the body forms a scab over it, and before we know it, in a few days, there's skin there as if nothing was ever there. How does that happen? It's an incredible miracle. But what happened was the brain is in full automation. The brain is in control. It knows what to do. It knows how to signal. It knows how to get rid of stuff that doesn't belong there. It knows how to recreate new cells. So the brain's in charge. The neurological integration system is all about finding where there's a disruption or friction in the signaling in the brain. Give you an example. I do a lot of work with people who have had concussions. And by the way, too much negative thinking, you can induce a concussive wave into your own body. So you don't have to get hit by something else. You can hit yourself enough. You can induce your own concussive wave. That's really sobering, but I have to treat people. You got it?
Yes.
Okay.
That is very powerful.
Now, what I've discovered, and this is, I believe, a grace from God, I discovered how the brain processes light and all the colors in the visible light spectrum, the major colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So I know the exact brain pathways for which are all frequencies. Please understand, everything in nature is ultimately a frequency. So red as a frequency, if you can't process red, there's something going to be wrong with your heart. Every color, and if you look at acupuncture, Chinese medicine, every color is connected to different organs and glands. So I have figured out not only red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, but I've also figured out in the 3 embryological germ tissues. So anybody out there who's taken anatomy or has been in healthcare, embryology is the science of when the egg and the sperm get together, how life emerges and then develops into the 3 different germ layers of tissue. I was able to figure out how the brain processes light in each of those layers of tissue. And if you want to test if someone's ever had a concussion, it takes 3 seconds. All you have to do is have them either look at full spectrum light, look outside at the sky, and muscle test. They go weak on a muscle test. It means they can't process some color of light, either red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, or violet. And then I muscle test to find out, is it the ectoderm, endoderm, or is it the mesoderm? And then I ask, is it one color or multiple colors? And then I run the protocol, which is I have them touch a series of points on their body. So in the endoderm, which is the inner layer of tissue. So if somebody, for instance, cannot process green, the pathway is there's a space in your eye that you touch. Go up to your head. This is cranial nerve 1. Then you go to bregma. You're going to look to the left, which is cranial nerve 6 to the left. Then there's a reflex for the pineal gland, and you touch the maxillary zygomatic suture. So those, how many points? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 6 points are the signals that the brain recognizes that you're talking about the color green in the endodermal layer of the human body. And then you have to find the correction. And Dr. Alan Phillips, who developed the neurological integration system, he figured out what the correction protocol is. I've expanded on it. There's some things I found that he doesn't include, but there's a way to correct it. And then here's the correction in the neurological integration system. Every protocol ultimately has the same correction, in that we're tapping into the brain 2 inches above the ears in a part of the brain called the post-central gyrus. That is where integration happens in the brain, and where the brain says, oh, that's what I did. That was a pathway that I just didn't get. And why does the brain lose a pathway? Because of 4 major things. It's either shock, trauma, anesthesia, or crisis. Those 4 things, shock, trauma, anesthesia, crisis, is what disturbs the brain from the recognition of its original cell function. When the spark of life emerges and that egg and sperm come together, there is that intelligence within that grows us into the human beings that we all are. That magnificent, non-material, vital life force never leaves us. But if it gets shocked, brain, which has now gotten developed, which is the mantle, if you will, for accessing what to do for the body, gets disturbed. And this brain recognition of original cell function just gets disturbed until you can fix the signaling into the brain. And then you can restore order, if you will. And so the neurological integration system, the work I've done, what Dr. Phillips has done, is all about finding where is there disturbance in the human body, and then go up a step. Where is there the disturbance such that the brain can't recognize what's going on?
That's a universal thing. Most humans at some point, and especially if you're in your act 2, have experienced a shock, a trauma. What are the other 2?
Anesthesia and crisis.
Yes.
Yes. So if most of us, those are universal experiences.
Absolutely.
All you have to do is watch the news every day.
Yeah. Thank you.
9/11 changed the world.
Changed the world.
So we all might have disturbances that are affecting we've got them.
Yeah.
We've all, yes.
And this is a pathway to address them.
Yeah. And I have also figured out how the brain processes shock, pre-birth, shock and trauma, during birth, after birth. I have figured out a lot of pathways for shock and trauma and for anesthesia. And crisis comes either from the Greek or the Latin, and it means to decide. People go through a major upheaval in making decisions. That is another form that throws the brains off from its self-regulation. People don't think of crisis, which means to decide, but we all know it. When fortunately we all have to grow up and we have to make decisions. Many of us had families with parents that said, now on, you're going to make your own decisions. And it's a big deal. It's not always easy to do that. And I hope for most of you out there, the unknown is, oh boy, and instead of, oh no.
Yeah.
Because when it's an oh boy and you see it, the adventure that it really is, then the curiosity of life comes never ending. It becomes its own life wellspring. I'm fortunate in the work that I've done. I've been a student. I graduated in 1993 from chiropractic school, and I have been a student ever since. My curiosity for learning has blessed me so much because giving me a reason to live and a purpose and meaning. And so to learn about the human body, and I've studied with 2 different physicists. I've gone outside the chiropractic model, to learn in other fields. I found what was right for me. But everyone, God willing, can find what their passion is, because the idea is to have meaning in what you do. And here's an interesting thought. There's no meaning in anything. It's only meaning we put into something. Whether you're a hairdresser or a bus driver or you're a physician or you're an artist. None of it has any meaning. The only meaning that's in it is what you put into it. And so to say that somebody is doing something that's more meaningful than others, there's no truth to that statement. There's no universal truth, because we're all living from a certain point of view, and we all have a point of view, and we all think from our point of view we're right, and we are from our point of view, but that doesn't mean that somebody else, our point of view is right for them.
Or any more valid.
We live in a sea, an SEA of points of view. When I learned that, it really liberated me a lot to realize that, my dance of life, if I'm choosing right, it's really good for me, and fortunate for me that I get to serve people out of my own joy. And that's one of the biggest goals that any of us can achieve, is to find what moves the needle. So you're living in your own inspiration, which is that you keep re-inspiring yourself.
And are you teaching your methodology and this remarkable body of work that you've discovered and created? Are you passing this on?
Yeah, I know. People ask me about that. I love doing the work. And right now, I have a young man right now who is being homeschooled, and he's following me for 2 hours every Monday because he's thinking about becoming a chiropractor. But the answer is, no, I'm not sure how to create that. I have over 200 pages of intellectual property of work that I've developed. Not sure what to do with it all. I'm really a simple guy in many ways. I love to go to work. I love to take care of people. I learned a long time ago that going to work is not separate from your life. So when I come into my office, it is my life. I have one room. Well, I actually have 2 rooms, but I only have 1 table. So I work at one person at a time. I don't see people for 30 seconds. My office visits, because when I do the brain work, most brain work is an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, because it takes time for me to think, to go deep, to figure out what is it that somebody needs. So one of the bodies of work that I do, it's something called biophoton therapy. It is a device that was developed by a physicist out of Holland, Dr. Johann Boswinkel. To my knowledge, it is the only device that gives people a light transfusion of the light that emanates off of the cells of our body. So for those of you who don't know that, our cells emit light and our cells absorb light. Biophotons were discovered in 1923, and then Fritz Albert Popp, a German physicist, created a device in the 70s that actually proved that they existed. Then comes the early 2000s. Johann Boswinkel decided to become a physicist. He invented this device while he was in school that could actually take a person's light, send it through a series of filters, and then send it back into someone's body. I studied with him in 2012. And then I started teaching anatomy and physiology for him in 2014. I had a patient come in who had lung cancer. Now, I do not treat cancer. Chiropractors, by our law and license, can't do that. But people come into me who are cancering. So they have a body, it's not working, there's something interfering with it. So the body is expressing itself. What do you need to know in order to have an effect on transforming what's going on? When I muscle test, I needed to use the biophoton therapy. And for about 5 visits, his brain kept telling me through the testing that I needed to give him the inverted frequency of asbestos. So in the device, there's over 500 homeopathic remedies. And through the light waves, I give the inverted frequency to neutralize it. So I clearly wasn't clearing it because his body kept asking for it. So I said, I think I need to go to your house. Let me set up the device. See if you're getting exposed at home. I set it up in his bedroom. I set it up in his kitchen. I set it up in his home office. And it wasn't until I went to his family room downstairs. So I asked him, I said, where's the asbestos in this house? Took a few seconds. He couldn't figure it. He says, you know what? When we bought this house about 8 years previous, there was asbestos in the linoleum tiles. And they told us put ceramic over it. If you know anything about asbestos, it's so small, it can penetrate through the pores of ceramic, which is mostly space and not as solid as we think. I said to him, if you want to get this out of here, and it really may help you, you need to get a hazmat company to come in. And he did that. I went back to test him. No more need for asbestos. 3 weeks later, he had a PET scan. His lung cancer was gone. Great story. He was really grateful for that because he had been doing so much work on himself prior to me. And I wasn't the only one that helped him. I'm not taking all the credit. His body does the credit. I found something he really needed to get out of his body. And it was through the curiosity and found a way to explore that. That's what my gift is. It's having the curiosity to explore. That was really, really helpful for him.
Dr. Rich, this has been such a profound conversation. I was, not joking at the beginning, but I was saying, I feel like my family from 15 to 89 needs to come and meet you and visit. And I believe that is true. We have all, as Rhonda was saying, collectively, societally, we all are wandering around suffering from some sort of crisis or PTSD, what have you, or injury. It just gets baked into how we kind of move through the world. And there is a malaise that just is hanging over the world. And we feel the crisis. You're right, from, just turning on the TV, but it's in our bodies. Correct. And it's weighing us down. And thank goodness thank goodness we've just met you. But so normally we would ask for a golden nugget, but I have to say, is there possibly another golden nugget you have for our listeners?
I have one right now. Here's another gem. The only nutrient that does any work in the human body is an enzyme. Your vitamins and your minerals, they're all either cofactors, your proteins, your carbohydrates, your fats. Those are raw materials. Just like building a house, you can have the best stones, the best glass, the finest woods from around the world. All those raw materials, if they're just lying on the ground, until you get the workers that build a house, you don't have a house. And the workers in our body that work on food are digestive enzymes. So everyone out there, first place that I would recommend to go, and I'm an enzyme nutritional therapist. I've been working with them for over 20 years. Taking digestive enzymes are really, really important, because the food sources aren't what our grandparents had. The soil isn't the same. The minerals aren't the same. And so digestive enzymes help digest food past an underperforming digestive system. So chiropractically, almost everyone that I've ever met has sprained ankles. And you'll never fix a body until you fix the feet. 25% of all the bones in the human body are in the feet. 52 bones between both feet. I treat people's feet, but it takes me about 4 seconds to find out if people have sprained ankles. You could have twisted your ankle when you're 10 years old. You could be 60 now, and unless someone corrected it, it's still sprained. Your ligaments have loosened up, and your body's been compensating your whole life. And the pain went away a long time ago. 99% of the time, what I treat is not the location of where the pain is. Pain tells you that there's something wrong inside. It does not tell you what's wrong, and it certainly does not tell you where it's wrong. And so you go to medical world, and this is their training, is like, okay, where does it hurt? And you go treat it. My experience, 99% of the time, where it hurts is not where the body wants correction. And it's an art to figure out how to do that. It's taken me my entire 30 years to put all this together.
I feel like I have been in class this afternoon in this conversation.
And I feel like you've been talking about every ailment.
I feel the same way too. So that's interesting too.
We'll just go together. We'll elbow our way in.
I'm in. Oh my word. This feels like I have been in class, and I could listen to you all day. Our time is approaching an ending point, and maybe we bumped into it already, but what's coming next for you, Dr. Rich?
So these 200 pages of protocols that I have, if you want to know the truth, I really want to somehow turn it into a children's book, because it is not the adult generation. See, this is to me is health hygiene. This is well care for as kids grow up. And so if I could find a way, and I would need to find the artists and find the way to turn. So can I give you a nugget before I answer that question? Yeah. So if you look, you can't see it, but in my office, I have a clock that goes the opposite way. So instead of clockwise, the clock goes counterclockwise. Why? Because every time you look at a clock that's going clockwise, like if you're in school and you look at the clock, it makes you weaker. People get weak doing anything clockwise. You look at baseball, which way do they run? Counterclockwise. Track and field, counterclockwise. You go for a walk, walk counterclockwise. Unless I can fix your brain, because I can fix your brain. But because of the magnetic field that's around this planet, you got to move counterclockwise. So it's some of these concepts that I would like to play with kids. I think what I've learned about chiropractic and bodies, here's my point. 15-year-olds could learn how to do this. 12-year-olds could learn how to do this. You don't have to wait till you're 50 and your body's breaking down. Why isn't there someone who's learned some of the healing arts in every family so you can just take care of your family? Why isn't this kind of stuff learning about the body and educational systems? I grew up in a medicine cabinet. The pharmaceutical world, they're powerful. And, we all know, if you have a headache, take Tylenol and I'll see you in 2 weeks or whatever. It can make your pain go away, and it doesn't address where the disturbance and where the friction is in the first place. Sometimes getting rid of symptoms can be the right thing to do. However, we're all trying to take it a step deeper. What's in the future for me? I'm not sure. I guess I'm not sure.
Well, I feel like good things are in the future for us just as a result of this conversation.
Yeah.
Well,
honestly,
moving from reactive to preventative and
the validation.
Learning self. Yes.
It's like we've all been through something, and it interrupts what we initially were wired with when we were formed as these living things. But there are ways to self-correct.
And lastly, we all have to get rid of the shame around not feeling well. And so I figured out how the brain processes shame. And I have how the brains process most of all of the emotions. If you look at the book Power vs. Force, one book for everybody to read. It's the second most important book I've ever read in my life. It's called Power vs. Force. It was written by Dr. David Hawkins. And his second book to read is called Letting Go. It's the most important book on mental health that I've ever seen. And his map of consciousness and what he does, I've taken his most credible concepts and I've been blessed being able to figure out how the brain processes, all of the major emotions and all the levels of consciousness that he speaks about. It's been my gift.
Well, I think not only are we going to come and see you individually, but I would love for us to visit with you again. I just think that there's so much to unpack here, so much wisdom, and so much that we need to know on how to get the care that we need, but also maybe how do we heal each other. It's just a beautiful conversation. Could not have been more timely. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for the good that you're doing for the world, but also for taking the time. You're doing such important work. So carving out this time with us is very special.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for this. What a gift. And I'm excited to see what that means for the future if younger people, because I know I'm in my second act and I heard things today I have never heard before. So I hope our audience is as excited as I am.
Okay, great. Then I've contributed something and that's wonderful.
So you can learn more, friends. We can go to www.margilhealing.com. Yes, it is the place to go to connect with this incredible human. Thank you.
Thanks.
Special thanks to our skilled producer behind the scenes, Kathy Carswell. And finally, it's left for me to say, go forth, be brave, live well, and do good, because it's Act 2.
You're on.
Act 2 You're On was brought to you by Act 2 Share Our Stage. You can find us at a2yo.com and also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Please download, listen, and subscribe wherever you find your podcast. You can support us using Patreon or buy us a coffee.
I do like coffee.
No, you don't need any more caffeine, Kate. Buy Us a Coffee is a platform that folks can use to support entrepreneurs and artists like us.
So we can keep providing resources for the doers and dreamers to find connection, purpose, and the skills needed to create a sustainable, fulfilling life to better serve the world. And also, so we can buy more coffee.
Oh, Kate, thanks for listening, everyone.